Welcome to the Free Game Don D podcast. Life, family, and business. Listen, today's topic is going to be speak your truth. And what brought this about was Shaq and Shawnee O'Neal. Well, her name isn't O'Neal anymore, but Henderson. Yeah, Shawnee Henderson. And we know there was a lot of discussion, and I've seen a lot of things on social media, and a lot of things on YouTube. People having interesting comments about what Shawnee said, and we kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit. So what you got, Michael? But first of all, before I get into that, let's take a look at the statement. So Shawnee says, looking back on it, I don't know if I was ever in love with a man. I was in love with the idea of building a life together. I truly did enjoy spending time with him. So that was what she said, right? And then Shaq.
Go ahead, I was going to say, and that's what everybody was in an uproar about.
Right.
That particular statement. Everybody was in an uproar about that. And you're about to say Shaq's response, which I didn't expect.
Well, listen, I was going to give Shaq's response, but I think we'll hold off on that. Let's just talk about what Shawnee said initially. So,
yeah. So okay. So I'm sure basically you want to know my feelings on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like she has every right to speak her truth, right? So in that particular aspect, I think that it was very bold of her to say what she said and even to say it publicly. My only issue is the fact that I think I internalized it a little bit because I have a small child. I have a 12-year-old, so he's not all that small. But so I kind of internalized it by saying, well, dang, should she have really said that since she has such a broad platform? Like everybody's going to hear this. That could come across kind of hurtful to Shaq. And then, but mostly, what about her kids? How do they feel about that? And so I might be wrong because I internalized it and said, if I said that about Donald, my son would probably be crushed. Like, because now you got your friends asking, why your mama talking about she ain't never like your daddy? Da, 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 da. And so that was kind of the take that I took from it. I feel that that's very empowering that she spoke her truth and she just don't care. Look, this is what it is. This is the truth. But I just wonder, how did the kids take that? And does Shaq really feel how he feels? Like, or was that just a way to be a better person? Which is good if it was.
Well, here's my thing. I think the more you grow and you get to learn who you are, you start to realize that a lot of things that you thought, were one way or something, you thought you was in love with somebody. And I think that sometimes you grow and you mature and you look back on certain things. And I think that was Shawnee, in my opinion. I loved it, of course. I mean, I know we've talked about this, and I loved it because I thought that was her speaking her truth. And I thought it was very powerful, and I thought it was very empowering. And she didn't say that I don't love Shaq. She says in love. There is a difference. And when you're young, you don't know the difference. When you're young, you think, and Shawnee and Shaq got married very young. So she probably thought that loving someone and being in love was one and the same, but it's not. And so
that's true. When
she becomes a mature woman, and now that she's reflecting on certain things and walking in her truth, you're able to speak about some of these things. And so that's why she says, I don't know. And she didn't say that she wasn't in love. She said, I don't know if I was ever in love with him. She didn't say she wasn't. She just said, I don't know if I ever was. And that's just her reflecting on her relationship with her ex-husband. And I honestly, I commend her for that. And I don't think anybody should be attacking her. Because it's not about Shaq. It's not like she was like, oh, he was this and he was that. He was no good. Blah. It's none of that. It's just her reflecting on her growth. And I think that's what I took from that. And I think that if you're a young person looking at this, and like the kids and, I guess their children, it's a lesson there for them, from them as well. I mean, sometimes you get with someone and you think you're in love, but then you look back on it and you realize you were never in love. And it's nothing that you're saying to hurt the person. I mean, she didn't say that to hurt Shaq. She said that to gain clarity from her life. Because honestly, she's probably found a partner now. But here's the thing about it. Once you find a real partner, once you find someone who, who embodies a true partnership, then you start looking back on certain things and say, man, I ain't never really had a real partner. So you don't never know what you've had until you get it. Once you get it, you're like, oh man, I ain't never had this before. That's right. True. And maybe you never had it because you weren't qualified to have it. I mean, so I'm sure if Shawnee keeps digging, maybe she might realize maybe I wasn't in love because maybe I wasn't a good candidate neither. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there was some things that I could have worked harder on or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think that self-reflection is so empowering, man. You think about it. Looking back on certain things in my life, I mean, when I was in my 20s, I mean, whoever I was with at that time, I'm sure they thought, oh man, Don's in love. Yeah, I mean, for my 20s. And then when you grow up, you look back on it like, that was never love. That was infatuation. That was, I loved you, but I wasn't in love. I mean, so, but that's just kind of how that thing works, man. So I guess when I heard her say it, I thought it was very empowering. I mean, it was nothing. I didn't take it as anything negative towards Shaq. And I know they have children, and I don't think it was anything harmful for the children to hear. So, because clearly they're friends. I mean, and they raised 5 kids together. I mean, but sometimes in life you start reflecting and you're like, man, I'm not sure I was ever in love. And it's not about the other person being hurt. I mean, so I love Shaq's response because, see, that showed growth on his part because his response was, I understand I wouldn't have been in love with me either. Wishing you all the best. Heart emoji. To me, that's someone that has also grown, And so what happens a lot of times when you tell your truth, if people get mad, that's because they haven't grown. You've grown. So once you grow, you can tell your truth. If people can't receive, how you got some nerve to challenge my truth. Yeah. You got some nerve to tell me. I'm looking back on my life 20 years ago and I'm telling you what my truth was and you're going to tell me what it wasn't? You got some damn nerve, True. So I'm going to need you to get on my level and mature and grow. Yeah. Because Shaq is clearly on another level because it was no animosity. It wasn't like, no, you was in love and blah, blah. No, it's just, hey, I wouldn't have been in love neither. I get it. Because in his mind, he might be saying the same thing. I really wasn't in love neither. He didn't say that. Yeah. But, looking back on it, if he wrote a memoir, he might be like, I really wasn't in love neither. I was just in love with the idea of, of family and all that entails. That's true. That is true. And I mean, I guess, and also it goes along with her book that she's putting out, which I'm sure it goes into much more detail in different, additional aspects of her life. So that was just a piece. That was just a piece. But the thing is, that's what everybody gravitated to. Like as soon as that came out, So, I mean, I even feel like if I would have heard Shaq's response, then maybe even I wouldn't have thought about it like that. Like now hearing his response, I'm like, okay, well, it really wasn't that bad because they're both mature. Like he's realizing that there may have been some things about me that you wouldn't be in love with, I mean, they were younger. You learn as you learn and you mature as you get older, and you have to make, you have to make mistakes along the way to even become a better person. If you were still the 20-year-old or he was still the 20-year-old man that he is now at the age he is, that's ridiculous. Yeah, think about it, Michael. You think about guys that you've dated. Oh my God. I didn't say I couldn't relate. No, let me just say this though. Imagine you speaking your truth and saying, you know what? I was never in love with any of these guys. Even, you was engaged once before. Yeah. I was never in love with this guy. And then this guy has the audacity to try to tell you, that's a lie. You was in love with me. Yeah. No, listen, man, I'm speaking my truth. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And so I don't know, man. I just thought it was very powerful. And like I said, you understand how the media works. So, the clickbait is, oh,
Oh yeah.
she never loved Shaq.
And that's the whole title. She never loved Shaq. It was never like, and Shaq said this. Now they're just coming out, oh yeah, and Shaq said this. But when it first came out, they weren't saying nothing
Yeah,
about
man.
that. But I do applaud her. I applaud her. Again, I still kind of a little bit feel like, because it's such a broad platform. But that might just be me being like,
but let me
because if
say
you're going
this.
to state your truth, state your truth. You can't like mute it for certain people.
Yeah, I was about to
You
say.
know
I mean,
what I'm
honestly,
saying?
man,
So-
having a broad platform is where you should speak your truth at.
Yeah.
Because there's people out here right now been married 20, 30, 40 years with someone they're not in love with. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we just being honest here. So, her having a broad platform makes it okay for people to look back and say, you know what, I was never in love with this person. I was just in love with the idea of building a family. There's people out here right now that are in love with the idea of building a family. I'm gonna be honest, I stayed married for as long as I did because I was in love with the idea of staying together, keeping my kids up under one household. My parents had been married for 50 years. They had gone through ups and downs, and they stayed married. And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I was in love with that idea of family staying together. I think it happens all the time. I think that's one of the reasons why, like, you'll never see me get on anybody's post and say couples goals.
No.
Nah, because you just don't really know. You really don't know. People can be married for a very, very long time, and so yeah, never gonna do any of that, man. Just I just believe that when somebody can reflect back on life and say, hey, man, this is just I wasn't in love. I mean, I think that that's something that everybody can learn from. Her having a broad or a big platform is actually it's empowering to other people, other men, other women to look back on it with no malicious intent, but to say, hey, I look back on it. I don't think I really was in love. I was infatuated. I love the person. I mean, but love is a minimum requirement. So, there's a lot of people that we love that we don't talk to anymore or communicate with, but we love them. So, but I love that person, but I wasn't in love. And like I say, Shawnee says, I don't think I was in love. I mean, I applaud her for that. And I applaud Shaq even more for the response because there was all this outrage, like, like she's bashing Shaq. But Shaq is aware. He's self-aware. Man, ain't nothing like being self-aware. When you're self-aware of who you are or who you were, you're able to grow in ways that people that are not self-aware, they're just unable to grow in that fashion. And I mean, Shaq and Shawnee have clearly grown a lot, both of them. And to me, the platform that she has and that her husband have, the pastor, and even the platform that Shaq has, this helps other people. They can look at this and see how people can still coexist and co-parent and do all of these things, and and still speak their truth about their relationship. And it's okay. It's okay. It's truly okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, she spoke on, what was it, Tamron, the Tamron show. If I said it incorrectly, I'm sorry. But we watched a clip from a portion of the show, and it was very empowering to me too, because I think oftentimes we as women, we get into these relationships. Maybe we get pregnant before we get married, or we get married and then shortly after that we get pregnant. Either way, children come into the picture. And then I think that's then when we really start trying to force the narrative of, because society tells us, we're going to get married, you're going to have children, y'all are going to live happily ever after, a house with a white picket fence and a dog and all these things. And then so I think sometimes we even will force the narrative when we know that we probably shouldn't, or maybe we shouldn't ignore certain things, but we keep pushing on. And like, Shawnee had a lot of kids, for Shaq. And I love that the fact that she said, although she went through the ups and downs and everything with Shaq, she doesn't regret a thing. She would not do a thing over. And I think that's what resonated with me even more, besides what she said. But the fact that she then said to herself, I'll take it all, I'll do it again. Because if she didn't go through those things with Shaq,
Come on, man.
she would not be where she
Come on.
is now. She would not be the woman that she is now.
Man.
And that breathed, I guess, life into me. That invigorated me, because I'm like, you can go through a lot, and I have no idea what she went through. You know, I guess you have to read the book to really know everything that, you know, that she discloses. But that was very powerful too, because a lot of people be like, I wish this never happened. I wish I never met this person. No, you need to have met that person so that you can make it to the next level. Otherwise, you'll just be where you are. Nobody wants to be stagnant. We all want to grow. We want to be better people. And sometimes it's having the power to look at the negative, to look ourselves in the mirror and admit our downfalls, the downfalls that we allowed people to, you know, have with us, what we dealt with, and then come to the realization of what we don't want to deal with anymore, and standing 10 toes down on that. And then you learn to love yourself. I think Shawnee probably just didn't love herself like she needed to. But now, oh honey, you could tell she loves herself. And I think Shaq loves himself too.
I think
They're
they
comfortable
both. I think they
with who
both
they
love
are.
themselves. I mean, so
Yeah.
you think about what Shawnee said, which I thought was very empowering, and Shaq's response was very empowering. These people love themselves,
Yeah.
right? And so you're seeing two people who have a healthy relationship with themselves.
Yeah.
Like they know who they are. Everything they've gone through has made them better. And I just think it's a great lesson for anyone to learn from. I mean, it's hard to appreciate being in a good relationship if you don't,
Know what a bad one is.
well, yeah, that too. But if you can't self-reflect on things that you may have thought were love, so if you're a young person listening to this, you may be in a situation that is toxic to some degree, but you think it's love.
Yeah.
And you'll look back on that, like Shawnee did, a couple decades later, you're like, man, you know what? I don't think I was ever in love with this person, and it's okay. And if that person has also grown, they'll say what Shaq said, which is
Exactly.
it's okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? And everybody grows from that, and they continue to grow and evolve, man. So I think that's what I saw from what she said and Shaq's response was just a lot of evolving between the two of them, and they definitely love themselves, and they can love each other because they love who they are and everything they've gone through. Like I say, I love Shawnee's statement about I wouldn't change anything. I'm gonna be honest. I know even in my personal life, there's nothing that I've gone through that I wouldn't change. I don't, I embrace it all, man. Failure breeds success. So, if you don't fail and own those failures and are cognizant of what those failures are or were, it's going to be hard for you to grow. You're just going to continue a cycle of making bad mistakes. So when you see someone who continues to get into bad relationships, that's because they're still not self-aware of the role they played, and they still don't know who they are. So they're having a hard time. So it's always somebody else. Oh, these guys ain't no good. These girls ain't no good. Guys are good about that too. All these girls ain't no good. No. It's focus on you. Let's take a look in the mirror. Let's be a better you, and shout out to them too, because in my opinion, they've done a phenomenal job being, better people for themselves, and that allows you to be a better person for somebody else. So
That's right. But I think that's an issue that people have. They don't want to look in the mirror, because the only person you can control is yourself. That's something that I learned. You helped me learn that. But, reflecting in my past, because you told me all about myself. But that's a whole nother segment. But that was one of the things. Like, you can only control what you can control. I can't control how you act, but I can control how I act, which then indirectly will control how you act, right? Because you're going to act accordingly. If I show that I'm willing to deal with BS, you may decide to bring me BS. But if I show you that I am the type of person that, listen, I'm deserving of certain things, and if you're going to shortchange me, then you have no place in my life. You will step up to the plate and make sure that you are that type of person for me, or be the best you, because that's what I'm expecting, and vice versa. But when you're young, You don't know to put those type of stipulations out. You don't know because you don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
part. That
you
part.
have no idea who you are. So you have to sometimes be in situations with people that don't turn out to be the best situations so that you can learn from them. And I think that's part of the problem nowadays. People get into situations and they get out of them, but they didn't learn from it. So they
But
repeat.
let me ask you this, Michael,
Possibly.
because like people were saying, especially guys, oh, that hurt Shaq. That was really hurtful to Shaq.
Yeah.
What do you say to guys who say that? I mean, I have a response to those guys, but what do you have to say?
um Gosh, I mean, okay, so what she said was very hurtful to Shaq. So basically, she shouldn't have said it at all, or are we concentrating on it hurting Shaq? What part are we concentrating?
I'm just gonna I'm gonna say this, Mike. Y'all.
Give me your answer because I'm not sure what
yeah,
you're looking for, and then I'm gonna piggyback.
I'm gonna take care of this. So when I see guys on social media, and I haven't engaged in any of these conversations, I just let these guys have it. I see it. I keep going. I read it, guys. If you feel like what Shawnee said hurt Shaq, you haven't evolved yet. You internalizing this. You internalizing what was said to Shaq because you would have been hurt. You would have been hurt by her telling the truth, by her living her truth. So that's a you problem. Shaq is fine. You heard what Shaq said. Shaq's a big dog. Shaq has evolved. He's grown. He gave the answer that any real man would have gave. But you have to be a man. Oh, you have to be a man in every sense of the word man to respond the way he responded. That man is different, man. So if you're the kind of guy that's running around here whining, talking about, she hurt his feelings. That was wrong. She disrespected him. No. She just told her truth. And he responded like a man is supposed to respond. And, I get it. If you're still trying to find out who you are, then yeah, that might have, you might have been hurt for Shaq. Don't be hurt for Shaq. Be hurt for yourself. Because if a woman says this about you, I'm assuming you're going to be hurt by that. But you shouldn't be. And the same thing goes for women. If a man says this about you, oh, I don't think I was ever in love. It's nothing for you to be hurt about. You should be hurt by the fact that you was hurt because that means you haven't grown.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Shoot, I'm just saying because I'm over here acting grown, and I think I didn't grow because I felt a little sad for Shaq when I first heard that. So I got some growing to do, obviously, because Mr. Doe said I'm whining. Okay, well,
I'm not saying you're whining.
I'm going to go ahead and put my feet back in the soil so I can grow some more. Good. Okay, sir. No comment.
I just think that people have you got some damn nerves to try to define what my truth is.
You're right.
It takes a lot of courage for you to, because see, honestly, that's something negative towards her for her to even say that. Because now it's like, man, I was with this man all these years having kids and I really wasn't in love. I mean, that doesn't just affect Shaq, that affects her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
But I just nobody has the right to be upset at you for speaking your truth. And so I just love the way Shaq handled that. And so if you're a man that felt some sort of way about that, you need to do some internal searching and some growth within yourself, because, that's nothing for you to be upset about. Because if you had to speak your truth right now, there's some people you've dealt with that looking back on it, you can say, you know what? I didn't really love my ex-wife. I didn't really love my ex-fiance. I wasn't really in love. Okay, but if you're not in touch with your emotions like that, if you can't express yourself like that, then maybe you're running around there pretending. But if you can express yourself like that, and you're self-aware, you'll be honest with yourself, right? And I didn't see a problem with it at all, man. I applauded Shawnee and I applauded Shaq even more for handling it like the diesel that he is. Shout out to Shaq, man. Shaq Diesel. Guys, listen, man. We just wanted to talk about this. Speak your truth. We think it's very important. We think everybody should speak their truth. You should get that off of you. You can't grow without reflecting, and your reflection helps you grow. It helps you be a better version of yourself when you start reflecting on things you've experienced in your past. So speak your truth, man. Speak your truth. Listen, this will conclude the episode of Free Game, Don D, Life, Family, and Business. Please hit subscribe.
Subscribe. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.